The following is taken from the live stream Q&A from July 25th, 2020. Questions and answers may be paraphrased to help shorten the video while still conveying the same information. If you have any questions about the following information, feel free to drop it into the comment section and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. I've been studying this game quite a bit lately and I know a lot about it and I can answer most questions. But without further rambling, let's get into these questions and answers. You said only rogues will excel at delving the deepest dungeons and finding the most hidden treasures. How literal is this? Will there be rooms or potential floors that only this archetype can get to? Yes, AOC has what are called utility skills. Think of a perception skill in D&D. Rogues will be able to discover hidden doors, traps, and extra treasure. These hidden items will randomly spawn in different areas of dungeons at different times, so it won't always be the same spot. How will EXP be affected by grouping for killing quests, farming, and raid bosses? EXP is divisible by the number of party members, but with a multiplier for each additional member of the party. But this is only for monsters and raid bosses that are killed, and will only go up to around 1.4x. Quest EXP is not divisible and maintains full EXP per person. How many different dungeons and world bosses will there be? One per node? Or will nodes share a dungeon with changes based on node advancement? It will not be one dungeon per node. Dungeons are points of interest between multiple nodes, and they change based on the node's progression. At the start, there will be between 12 and 15 world raid bosses. This does not include dungeons and regional bosses. Why is multi-boxing being allowed in AOC, and will there be restrictions to it? Time is still needed to level up each character, so it's not really seen as a pay-to-win mechanic. Some safety nets to restrict abuse will be only one freehold per account, for example, though I'm personally not sure if that will fix anything since most multi-boxers will be using multiple accounts. On top of that, it's extremely difficult to prevent multi-boxing with the number of siblings or roommates who might want to play together. You can't really restrict it on IP, so it's kind of a difficult one to handle. With player cosmetics being in the game, how will we determine the power or gear type of our opponent when looking at them, as cosmetics may hide this information? Player threat assessment will appear as a buff on a player when you target them, showing the gear type, whether it be plate, leather, or cloth, and it will have a border around it to give an idea of tier and quality. What happens to a player caravan if you're in the middle of a trip and have to log off or get DC'd? Will there be a save point if I have to leave? Caravans will persist in the world if you have to log off or get DC'd, and there will not be any save points. What are the benefits of choosing a religion? Can you only follow one, and will you be able to change it? You can only choose one religion at a time. Each has unique progression, and based on your rank, you will gain new titles, shop items, discounts, and roles that happen during events or sieges on your home node. You can change your religion, but you'll reset to the beginning. Top tiers get unique augments that stack on your secondary class augment. It's a give and take system. Will base class clerics be the only ones with base class healing skills? Bards will also have healing effects, though less than clerics. Bards will be proximity based instead of direct target heals. Clerics will be the predominant healing class, although you can get healing through second class augment features for yourself and for healing others. How will food consumption work in this game? Higher quality food will equate to greater buff duration. You can even get a higher buff through the furniture system. A nicer oven was used to cook it, for example. Food buffs can be proximity based as well. This would be done through player-run businesses on freeholds. The proximity buff would be around the quote-unquote tavern or similar building. Will players be forced to play through the starting zone, or can they move on immediately? Players can move on immediately because there is no railroad system, but it may be more beneficial to do the starting area. Will resource nodes be one-time use or a shared cooldown? How will scarcity be handled? There will be some that are a one-time use with random location spawns, which are resource nodes with multiple access points. These will have only so many resources in them and will eventually run out to be randomly spawned somewhere else. You can also get skills that will help proc for rarer resource drops. How will server lockouts be handled during launch? They would like to introduce the ability to get a server reservation, so players in large guilds can reserve a spot in the server so that they're ready to go on launch. I heard the character creator will be on the level of BDO's character creation. Will it have some interesting sliders? It will be similar, but a little bit more confined for racial appearances. They want the races to actually look like their races. And yes, it will have sliders for specific options. They also might give out the character creator a little bit early so that you can work on your character's appearance before launch and have it all ready for launch day. How limited will the inventory system be? Will you be able to upgrade it? And how will caravans affect this? The initial capacity will be relatively limited. Upgrading will be possible, but note, quest items will not fill your non-quest inventory capacity. And you also can't just bring a caravan with you anywhere you go to help you hold stuff, so that should prevent any issues there. Will we be seeing more information about the archetypes in the near future? Yes, more information will be released, and some of it is going to be determined based on the players' feedback from the pre-alpha and the alpha 1. They also don't want to tell everyone everything so that people can still discover some aspects of it for themselves after launch. Will the monthly sub fee be adjusted for other countries? Yes, price harmonization will be implemented in Ashes of Creation, but will only occur when, say, a Brazilian player plays on a Brazilian server. Will the defensive capabilities of cities for sieges depend on the race? No, as that would be unbalanced, despite it maybe visually looking less defended because of race design. There will be standardized siege processes, and based on how funding is spent in the city, as well as some status symbols of the city, which can be used to help defend the city via AoE buffs. Who gets the drop from world bosses? The leader of the raid can set loot distribution settings from a wide variety of options. Loot masters are going to be a possibility, and in the case of two competing raids, it will be based on a tag and DPS system. Tagging targets boosts the DPS done, and the DPS done on the target will determine the looting rights, subject to change based on some player feedback. Is the combat from Ashes of Creation Apocalypse going to be the same action combat in the full release of the game? As mentioned before, Ashes of Creation will have a hybrid tag target system as well as an action system. But the Apocalypse system was a test and will not be fully used and will be drastically different, but will help determine the full release combat system. Alpha 1 will contain a bare bones version of the hybrid system to be changed more based on the player's input as needed. Will a player's health and level be a mystery before engaging in a fight in open world PvP? The level of a player will be known when targeting that player, but health will be unknown. Their nameplate will have a quality, and based on loss of health percentage wise, the nameplate will start to degrade. What power difference should we expect to see in a 3 to 4 level gap in PvP? Will power difference be more reliant on gear or levels? It will be somewhat equal between gear and levels. You will, however, be able to do damage to higher level enemies, even when you're a much lower level than them, so you could in theory go and fight things 5 to 10 levels higher than you, though you will do not nearly as much damage as might be needed, but you will still be able to kill them. You want distance to matter and to have no fast travel, but there will be a family link system for traveling. Wouldn't that break the relatively no fast travel system? There will be a large cooldown for leaving a family and to join a new one, so you can't just switch between families and travel wherever you want. And you can only summon family members to you, and they must be in your family. This should stop exploitation of the family system, while still allowing players to hop on and play with their friends immediately. Because of successful siege defense cooldowns being a thing, could false flag sieges become an issue? It takes a substantial quest and resource gathering process to start a siege, which should help prevent this from becoming an issue. For necromancy, will raising of fallen enemies be possible, and will they be permanent until the player dies? Necros can summon specific types of summons based on the necro class type you build into, tank, DPS, etc. The types of summon will also be affected by the augment class you take. The summon is not timed, existing until it dies, you log off, or you summon something else. How significant will your augment class be to how the character plays? This is best explained in an example. A fighter rush skill allows you to target an enemy and dash towards them. This can be augmented with teleport ability, and instead of relying on your speed to get from A to B to hit your opponent, you would just teleport to them. It should change more than just the flavor, but instead the core components of the skill. In my personal opinion, this is a great way to add variety to an MMO, and I think it will have a large impact on how the character plays. Will there be cross-node quests? Will quests depend on the level and types of the nodes? Will some quests be locked to only one person completing them to 100%? Yes, there will be cross-node quests, more so when relationships get developed between the nodes, and only citizens of those nodes can participate in the quests. The level of the node, type of node, buildings built within the node will all help determine the quests that are available. Some quest lines may be locked by the first person to hit the highest title, i.e. you can only do X quest if you are doing the final quest to become the bishop of a church or something like that, but the next person to become the bishop of the church or similar position would then be able to complete that quest as well. How will you prevent the cash shop from destroying visual progression, like looking cooler by getting higher level gear? There will be legendary cosmetics that can only be earned and achieved from gameplay, but will take a lot of work to achieve and unlock, making in-game progression important for visual progression and not just spending money to look cool. Will shipbuilding be available for coastal freeholds? No. Shipbuilding is part of the crafting branch of the artisanship. Ships would have to be made in nodes that are coastal and have a hook to a harbor on the water. The higher the node, the better the ships that can be made. How is Ashes going to create enough content for 103 nodes at differing levels? The way nodes in an area affect a surrounding point of interest, i.e. a dungeon, should give enough dynamic curated content, since it can be changed by changing and working on nodes. There will also be new content developed after launch. As Steven said, content is king. That's all of the questions from the AMA, but Steven did end up asking for more input on the game and their ideas. He wants people to get involved with the process, and not by pre-ordering the game. The game's already funded. Get on Discord, social media, and the forums, and put in your ideas to help the development of Ashes of Creation. Now, if you think you're interested in Ashes of Creation, but have yet to sign up for a free account, I have posted a referral link in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. More videos to come, and don't forget to check out my live streams over on Twitch. I'm live Tuesday through Saturday.